Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well and enjoying my video. So in this video also guys, we'll continue the Python playlist and we'll understand the while loop. What is while loop? How it is different from a for loop? Under the while loop, how we write a code. So by end of this video, you will be very much familiar at what scenario you should use the while loop. So let's get started. Let me share my screen. Perfect. So I have created a 14 while loop.ipynb file and I will write all the while loop code over here. And at the end, I will push this to the my GitHub repo and I'll give the link into the description. So if you want, you can download and practice this code or you can keep for the reference. So now the question is, we already have a for loop. Then why do we need a while loop? So if you have seen my for loop videos, you will notice that in the for loop, we always have a iterator. What is iterator, by the way? Is nothing but list, tuple, dictionary, or a string. So whenever you have a certain range or range also. So whenever you have this range, in that case, we want a certain activity to do and iterate through the given range. That can be a list also, a dictionary, or range from 1 to 20, 1 to 100. So based upon that, your code will repeatedly execute and or maybe it will access each and every element inside that and try to execute whatever the bodies of the your loop is defined. Now the question is that if you don't have a iterator, then if you want a piece of code to perform repeatedly, in that case, what you will do? You cannot use the for loop because for loop need the iterator. It can be list, tuple, dictionary, or range, right? But you don't, let's say you have a certain piece of code you want to run again and again. So in that case, you say, yeah, that is possible. We can use the range in the for loop for, let's say, 1 to 1000, 1 to 100, and we can execute that piece of code again and again, right? Repeatedly. But the question is that we want to execute that code for the infinite loop until and unless this earth is existing, that loop or that piece of code should execute. So what kind of a range you will give over there? That is possible? No, you cannot count the number, right? So in that case, we use the while loop. Whenever you want a piece of code to execute for an infinite loop, in that case, we use the while loop. I hope it's clear, guys, right? So now let's try to understand its definition, real-time examples, and also the syntax and everything, which I have written over here. And I will try to give this to you as well. So what is while loop? While loop is a control flow statement that repeat a block of code. As I said, it is repeating the block of code as long as given condition is true. So if the given condition for that loop is true, the code will repeatedly going to execute. It don't require any iterator for that. Okay. So the loop check the condition every iteration. It's basically a check for the iteration, but it does not have a iterator over here. Okay. Now the real life example to can relate that, let's say you want to keep studying until your exam is over. Okay. Or keep filling the water until your tank is full, or keep riding a bike or vehicle until you reach the destination, or keep your gas stove on until the water or milk is boiled. So these are the life example, real life example. So you can relate that. So that loop of your study should be continue until the exam is not over, or your water filling to the tank will be continuing until the tank is not full. Correct? So in such scenario, you have given the condition over here, and that condition will be true, and this code is going to execute. Until the condition is true, the code is going to execute. We'll again further understand what is the meaning of condition and how the code is going to execute. Now, the key concept of that while loop is that if the condition becomes false, the loop will stop. If your condition of a while loop is false, then this will become a what? It will stop. If the condition never become false, it will be infinite loop. If your condition, while loop condition is true for infinite time, then the code will execute for the infinite. Okay. Now while loop is important because it allows repetition when the number of iteration is not known in the advance. In the for loop, we have a number of iteration in advance, whether it's list, tuple, dictionary, or range. In range also we write 1 to 20, 1 to 100, or 1 to 1000, right? But in while loop, we don't know the iteration number in advance. So we use the while loop with the condition. Okay. Work based upon the condition, not fixed range. As I said, range is not given over here. It useful for real-time dynamic and input-based problem. Okay, we'll understand what does it mean. Now, when to use your while loop. So you don't know how many times the loop should run. In that case, we use the while loop. Whenever you know that you want to run that code for 5 times or 3 times, for example, for the password, you want to execute that code for 3 times, then you know your iteration, you use the for loop. But whenever you don't know the iteration, you use the while loop. Okay, loop depends on user input. Whenever your loops depend upon the user input, you use the while loop. Loop should continue until a condition change. So your loop should keep on running until and unless your condition is not changed. Okay, you need an infinite loop with control. So whenever you are using an infinite loop, if you're not given the control, it will be running for the infinite time. So these are the important, I would say, concept to understand that. Anyway, I'll just share this this IPYNV file. You can refer this later on also. Okay. Now, the key difference for the while loop and for loop, as I said, whenever you have a fixed range, you use the for loop. Unknown iteration, we don't know that how many iteration I should run this code, then use the while loop. User input, if you have a user input, use the while loop. For the user input in for loop also we have used, right? So that's fine. So again, infinite loop, you want to run something for the infinite time, then use a while loop. Then list tuple, if you have a list tuple to transfer and access each and every element, then use the for loop. So in short, if your iteration is not fixed for how long I should run this piece of code, then use the while loop. Simple. It works on the condition, not on the iterator. Coming to the general syntax of the while loop. So we write while and then condition. And after the condition, we have a code block over here that should execute. And then we update the condition. Okay. So now let's try to understand this. So I'll write over here, let's say I equal to 5. Okay. While I is less than equal to 5. Until and unless your I is less than equal to 5, you will write over here print I am coming from while loop. Okay. So let's say what I'm doing over here, until and unless your while loop is less than equal to 5. Less than equal to 5 means you have given already 5, so it will start with the 5. So always keep 0. Let's say 0 over here. Okay. So what I'm given, so it should iterate for, first iteration will be for 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. So it will iterate for 6 times. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Perfect. And then it will execute this. But this I will not increase by itself. We have to make this increase at every iteration. So if you want, what I'll do, I equal to I plus 1. Okay. And then let's try to print the I also. So it will be easy for you to understand. Now let's run this code. What is the issue? Okay. I did a mistake over here, guys. It should not be comma, right? Now execute this. See, I am coming from while loop and your I is 1 first time. Okay, then it should be 1 or 0. Okay, because you have already iterated here. Let's say let's keep this here. Now try to execute this. So I am coming from while loop and your first value of I is 0. Then again I am coming from a while loop and your I is 1. Then again I'm coming from a while loop, your I is 2. Then again I am coming from a while loop, your I is 3. Then again, I am coming from a while loop, your I is 4. And very last time, and I is 5. And then it has come from the while loop. Why? Because your I becomes 6 and this is going to give the false. Because when your I is 6, it is not equal to less than 5. So now let's try to understand each and every piece one by one. So over here, I have defined I equal to 0. It is very much clear. Your I is equal to 1 at very first. At very perfect. Now it will come over here. So its condition is while I is less than equal to 5. So your I is less than equal to 5. It means your I is equal to 0, and 0 is always less than 5. So it is true, right? It is true. When it is true, it will come to the this line of code and it will execute this. I am coming from the while loop, and after that it will come back to this one and it will print this 0. After that, your I equal to I plus 1. So once your I is 0, so I equal to 0 plus 1. So I become 1, right? So I is 1, then again it will go back to your while loop. Under the while loop, it is I equal to 5, which is less than your 5. Sorry, I is equal to not 5, it is 1, right? It is 1 and it is less than 5. So the condition is true again. Once it is true, again it will come back to your this statement, print statement, and it will give I am coming from a while loop, and again your I value is 1. And after that it will come back to this line of code where I equal to I plus 1. So I is 1, 1 plus 1, it has become 2, became 2. And then after that it will again go back to this condition, and over here I is equal to 2, which is again less than 5. So the condition is true. When it is true, again it will come back to this line of code and it will print this I am coming from a while loop, and the I, it will print the I also, and I value is 2, so it will get printed over here. After that again it will come back over here. So I equal to 2 plus 1, because I is 2, 2 plus 1 equal to 3. So once it is 3, again it will go back to your while loop, and over here again it will try to match the condition where you have a I is 3. So 3, I equal to 3 is less than 5, and which is true. When it is true, again it will try to execute this line of code, after that this line of code. So over here I'm coming from a while loop and this is 3. Perfect. And after that again it will come to the next line, and I equal to, let's say 3 plus 1, which is equal to 4. Again it will go back to this line of code, and over here you have a I equal to 4, which is less than 5. Again it is true. When it is true, again it will try to execute this line of code, and after that this I. So this line of code, and then I equal to 4, because I have a 4 over here, right? And once it is done, then it will come back to the next line of code where you have a I equal to 4 plus 1, that is equal to 5. Okay, and then once you have a 5 over here I, then it will go back to again to the while loop, and this time I is equal to 5, which is not less than, but this equal to 5, and it will be true. When it is true, again it will try to execute this, and it will execute it and print it over here, then print I. So again it will print I, which is 5 right now, correct? At this stage I is 5, and after that I equal to 5 plus 1, which is equal to 6, and this 6 I value will again go back to your while condition to check the condition. And when I is equal to 6 is equal to less than 5, which is false. When it is false, it will stop. So this is how it is going to work. So in while loop, you don't have a iterator to iterate through your given condition. So this is basically becoming your iterator over here, which is incrementing your condition over here. I hope it's clear, guys, right? Now what I'll do, that I can make this other way also. I can write over here 5. Okay, and whenever is, let's say I is equal to not I is equal to, I is greater than, or I want to decrease basically that every time -1. So your I should always, or your condition of Y should always run for a I 5 to 0. So whenever it is less than 0, then it should stop. So what should I write over here? Greater than equal to 0. Now let's try to make this -1. Try to execute this. See, it is running for 0. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and 0. And after that, it become -1. So it will stop this. So I hope you understand that how the while loop works. Now let's try to execute the next line of code again to make it more familiar. Now let's say that I'm writing over here I equal to 5. Okay, and while I is less than equal to 5, print I am from loop. Okay? I am from a loop. That's all. Try to print this. See, it is going to execute for the infinite time because you are not changing your I. Correct? So if the loop gets started, I equal to 5, then over here I is less than equal to 5. So I is 5, so which is equal to 5. So it is true. When it is true, it is going to print this. Again, it will go to the while loop. Again, it will check I is 5. We have not changed the value of 5. So it will again print this. And this loop will work for the infinite times because we are not increasing and decreasing the condition. So this condition is always a true. So how to stop that? We have to stop the kernel for this. Then how to make the infinite loop to finite? For that, you can use this condition to change. Whenever the condition will change, you can stop that. Or maybe let's say you want for a one time, you just write break over here. Or let's try to execute this line of code over here. Okay, so I am from the loop. So this break will break the loop after that execution, first execution. If you are not going to increase or decrease this, but there is no meaning of that, right? So when to use this one? Whenever break we use, whenever we reach certain element and then we want to break that. So in that case, we use this, right? But over here, this is not the right example, or it's a right place to use the break over here. You can also, let's say, if you want to just iterate one time, you can just write when I is equal to 1, and you just give over here. It is going to iterate for multiple time because you are not changing the condition. So for that, you can just write I equal to 2 simply, and then it will going to execute only one time. This is how your while loop works. Now let's see the next example. Sum the user input number until user input is not 0. So I'll take, let's say, number equal to, I'll take int, and then I'll pass over here input, and in the input you must write over here enter the number. Let's say, right, I want to sum, so I'll take one total number. Total number is equal to, let's say, 0. Now while when should stop the while condition or while loop? Until your user input is not 0. So I'll write until your user input is not equal to 0. So until and unless it is not 0, you will continue to ask the input and you will sum that. So again, you will need to write this line of code under the loop itself. Okay, because let's say once you ask the user enter the number, so it is going to enter, let's say, over here 100. Now it will come over here, it is not a 0. So it will again ask the number. No, it should first sum that. So total, this one, total number is equal to, or plus equal to is meaning same, like you are adding something on that, this number. Okay, and then you are again going to ask the number. If the given number is again, let's say, 0, then it is going to break this, otherwise it will come back to sum that number. Okay, let's execute this and try to print over here out of the loop, try to print the total number. is the mistake over here, is not equal to, should be like this, plus total number plus equal to, yeah. So let's say first time I'm entering 100, then again is asking, let's say 200, again I'm asking 300, and now I'll enter 0. So first I enter 100, 200 and 300. Total answer should be 600, right? So it is 600 over here. What I will do now, I will change the position this. I'll write over here. Okay. So now let's say first I enter 100. Now I enter, let's say 10. Now 10 and now 0. So you have a 20. Why this happened? Because as soon as code started to execute, it will execute this line of code, and you have initialized your number as a 100. What you have initialized your number as a 100, correct? Then it will come to the next line of code where you have a, let's say, this total number, and total number will be how much? Total number will assign as a 0. Perfect. Then it will come to this while loop. The number which is 100 is not equal to 0. It means it is true. It is true. Then it will come to next line of code and it will ask again, enter the number. So if you enter over here first time, let's say 10. So it will come to this line of code where total number will become, total number is equal to 0. First it is 0, 0 plus 10. The answer is 10. Then it will go again to your while loop, right? While loop, it will go, what is the value of your input is 10. So 10, because you have entered 10 over here inside the while loop. So 10 is not equal to 0. So it is again true, right? It is true. So it will come to the next line of code. Again, it will ask number. So again, you let's say enter 10, then it will come to this and it will add 10 and it will become 20. Again, it will go back this. So your initialized number 100 get skipped because you have not summed that into total. Before that, you have just again reinitialize your number. So this is a wrong execution. The first entry will get skipped over here. So how to do that? You should always, as we have done over here, we have first written the condition and then we have again changed the your I. So same way, I mean here, first we have written the condition, then we have changed the I. Where it is, guys? Here. First we have written the condition, then we have changed the I. So similar way, what we need to do that, we need to first sum this. We have to sum this and then change the number. So now let's execute this. 100, again enter 200, 2000, sorry, 200, then 300, 400, and then enter 0. So you have a 1000. Perfect. But we don't know that how many numbers we have entered. So what we will do that, we will write over here, let's say entered number. Entered number equal to, I'll take one list and I will write over here entered number dot append, and I'll write over here your number. This way you will have a traceability that how many number and which are the number we have entered. So now execute, write 100, 200, 300, 400 and 0. So 1000, but we don't know this entered number, right? So take this entered number and try to execute to next line of code over here. So 100, 200, 300 and 400. But we have entered 0 also, right? We have entered the 0, but it is not going inside the loop. Why? Because we have mentioned if number is not equal to 0, then it should be true. When number is equal to 0, it is false. And in that case, it will directly come out of the loop. If you want, I can just write over here. Else print out of the loop. Out of the loop. And if you want, let's try to print the number. but this number I don't know is going to execute over here is not, because it's work as a local variable over here, but I think it should execute. Let's say 100, 200, 300 and 0. Out of the loop, 0 and 600 over here, because this is over here. So this is how you can use the else also with your while. So I hope you understand this, right? Now try to understand next line of code is that check or print even number from 1 to 20 using for loop. Sorry, while loop, not for loop, while loop. So you have to print the even number from 1 to 20 using the while loop. So what you will do, you will take I equal to how much? 20. Okay. And then while I is greater than equal to 0. In that case, if your I modular division by 2 is equal to 0, it means that number is even. So write over here print number is even, and you enter the I over here. Okay. And then you need to decrement your I, because you have mentioned 20 over here. So I minus equal to 1. It means that you are decrementing I by 1 value. So now let's write else condition over here. Else print out of loop, because loop is completed, and you write over here your I, and just pass over here your f string to make work this as a placeholder. Now try to execute. Let's see. It should be together. Number is even 20. Okay. Okay, I did a mistake, guys. This should not be outside the, this should not be inside your if condition. Why? Because see, at the first stage, your I is 20. Once your I is 20, it will check this. First, it will check this one, right? Where I is greater than equal to 0. Of course, 20 is greater than 0. So it is true. Then it will come to this line of code, where it will check whether I is divisible by 2 or not. So 20 is divisible by 2, which is even number. So number is even and it has printed. Then it will come to this line and it will make it is 19. Okay, once it is 19, it will again continue your if condition. It is not going to the while loop. So it is wrong over here. I did a mistake. So it should be out of your if condition. Now let's try to execute this. Your number is even 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, and for 0 is also even. Okay, and out of loop, because your loop is completed and your I is -1 this time. So this is how you can use the while loop with your if condition to find some specific condition. Okay, now let's try to understand the nested while condition. Nested while condition over here. Right over here, I equal to 3. Okay, then for, not for, sorry, while I is less than equal to, I is less than equal to 0, or is greater than equal to 1. Okay, then we define j equal to, let's say, 1. And again over here, while j is greater than uh, equal to 1, and then right over here print your I is I, j is j. Over here, let's try to decrement your I. So I minus equal to 1. Syntax invalid. Where it is invalid, over here, I equal to 3, j is 1. I is 3, j is 1. I is 3, j is 1. Why it is like that? Okay, because your I is always 1, because I am not decreasing or increasing my j. So stop this first, and then over here try to make this, or make this stop when j is equal to 3, and I will try to increase my j over here, j plus equal to 1. Okay, now let's try to execute this. Okay, it should not be like this. It should be less than equal to 3. So whenever you give exactly 3, it will match for that value as. Okay, now let's try to execute this. So I is 3, j is 1. I is 3, j is 2. I is 3, j is 3. Again, I is 2 and j is 1 until last. I is 1, j is 3. So how it is going to execute? Let's try to understand this piece of code. So I have assigned I equal to 3 over here, right? So once I assign I equal to 3, so your I is, 1 second, your I is 3. It will come to this line of code where 3 is less than equal to 1, which is true, then it will come to this, and j is 1. Okay, then over here 1 is less than equal to 3. Of course, 1 is less than equal to 3, then it will become true. After that, it will come to this line of code where I is I, which is 3. So I is 3 and j is 1. So j is 1. Then after that, you are increasing your j. So over here, your j will become 2. J equal to j plus 1. The meaning of this is this. Okay. Then it will become 1 plus 1, which is equal to 2. When it is 2, again it will go back from here to this while loop. Okay. And this time 2 is less than equal to 3, which is nothing but true. Correct? When it is true, again it will come back over here and it will print I is till for the next while j, I is 1 only. Sorry, 3. So I is again 3 because we have not changed the I, we are under the j. So I is 3 and j is 2. J is 2. Why? Because we have made this 2 and we are here. Correct? So it will print this. After that, it will again come over here. So this time your j is 2. So j equal to 2 plus 1, it will become 3. Correct? So after that, again it will go to this line of code, and 3 is less than equal to 3, which is true. And again from here it will come to this line of code, and your I is still 3 and j is 3. So this line of code will get executed. And after that it will come to this line of code where you will make this j equal to 3 plus 1, which is equal to 4. And from here it will again go to your while loop, and over here it will try to see that 4 is less than equal to 3, which is false. When it is false, it will come back to this line of code, and over here you are making I minus equal to 1. It means that I value is 3, so 3 minus 1, which is 2. And from here again it will go back to your while loop. Over here it will try to see 2, which is I is greater than equal to 1, which is true. Again from here it will come to this, and it will assign whenever you have a 2 greater than equal to 1, I equal to, and it is true. After that your j is assigned again 1. Once you have j1, then it will come this and repeat this iteration for 1 2 3. See over here, j 1 2 3 for all I equal to 2, right? And after that it will again go for I equal to 1 and j 1 2 3. So this is how your while loop under the nested loop will work. Okay. Now if you want to make this one some star pattern, that also is possible. And you can just write over here and equal to C, right? So it's all matter over here. Now I'll give the condition, one homework to you, that write a write a Python code using while loop to make a star pattern, right angle, right, right triangle, right angle, right triangle, right triangle, star pattern. This is your homework, guys. So I think it's very much clear when to use a while loop, when to not use a while loop. Whenever you have a fixed iteration, use the for loop. Whenever you don't have a fixed iteration, use the while loop. And in the while loop, you need one condition, and this condition should be decrement or increment to make this stop. Otherwise, it will go for the infinite loop. I hope it's making sense, guys, right? So this is all about this video. I hope you have enjoyed and you have learned when to use a while loop. Now take some example and try to code this, or whatever the example I have done into the for loop, try to do using the while loop. So thank you so much. Let's connect in the next video, and don't forget to share, subscribe and hit the bell icon. Thank you so much, guys.